Greetings from the continent of Africa. I sit in beautiful Nairobi. It's nice and it's cool, it's not too hot, and I'm really excited to be here today. As always, welcome to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Conversations called AfCFTA Files. We are headed by the Africa MSME Collective, and what we do is we help MSMEs find their way in the business world, as well as support enterprise support organizations. We believe that it's important to help MSMEs start, stabilize, and then scale so they can grow sustainably over the future. Why is that important? Because really the future of the world is economic emancipation, is enlightenment, is wisdom, is knowledge, is understanding. And many MSMEs are stuck in a space because for so long they have thought a certain way and it's not quite working. So what we exist to do as AMC is to support that whole infrastructure and begin to see collaboration across the continent, but also consistent growth. My name is Kyesubire. I have been in the MSME space for over 25 years. And the interesting thing about it is I'm finding that a lot of the challenges now are the same challenges we had before. And it's not for a lack of learning. I think it's for just how the nature of the sector is. And I think there's room to change a lot of that. That's what we do. However, in this particular space, I love the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and Agreement because in my view, this is a way to really step up as a people and take charge of our destiny. But it's also a space for us to challenge what we think. And every week we come on board every second and fourth. Come on board every second and fourth Wednesday. And what we do is we share a lot about things that are happening on the continent, and we break down the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and Agreement. So today we'll be talking about small businesses and the AfCFTA. There are a lot of bigger businesses taking charge of the AfCFTA, and that works, that it helps many people. But I want us to begin to look at the dimension of preparing as MSMEs to take part in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So, basic synopsis, and I'll really fly through this. AfCFTA is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. There's an agreement that is in place. It sets up the largest free trading area in the world. That's the intention. It features, it connects 1.3 billion people, includes 55 countries, and a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion, right? It was set forth at the 18th session of the African Union in Ethiopia in 2012. It was signed by 44 presidents by 2018, ratified by 47, currently signed by 54 countries. It came into effect in 2019 and trading started in 2021. The potential impact of AfCFTA is to lift 30 million Africans out of extreme poverty, boost our income by 450 billion, increase exports by 560 billion, and add an extra 76 billion income into global trade. Critical things, not all of them, the ones I think are most important, is a single market, liberalized markets. This is the foundation of a customs union. So a customs union is like the EU, it's a customs union. It's the next step up from a free trade area. And of course, we are trading with one another. We are encouraging businesses to grow. We're expanding manufacturing. So we will see a rise in and the sustaining of socioeconomic development and increase our competitiveness. But the thing I love the most about the AfCFTA is its goal is to harmonize trade. Harmonize. It's to ensure that we can trade with one another using the same set of rules, that when you arrive at a border, you're not finding too many disparities. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But the other important thing to think about is that as private sector, which means we are the business sector, the agreement is created by government, but our role is to trade. And when we trade, we can test the infrastructure and give feedback back to our governments. I will say this every time I have a show. We must test robustly and feedback to the government. Because every government has what they call a national steering committee. The Council of Ministers sit and discuss what it has been told, how it is working, how to improve it. But if they don't have feedback from us, my friends, we are lost. That's critical. In the previous episode, I talked about the mindset of the entrepreneur. We talked about curiosity, tenacity, resilience, and all that. You can go back and watch episode, I believe it is episode 4. And what we're really talking about in that episode was the reality that the mindset of doing domestic trade is different from the mindset of doing export. But I think there are 4 big things we need to settle around if we're going to robustly test the AfCFTA. Now, many MSMEs are struggling with formalization because, oh, the taxman will find me, oh, I'll be liable for this, oh, I have to do a transfer for my staff. Now, here's the thing. A global business is a global business, and it's recognizable by a brand and a registration. So if you are even beginning to think that maybe you want to export, you must formalize your business. What does formalization mean? Formalization means you have a name, okay? And you don't just have a name, you have a name registered by the government as a trading entity. So, easy way, I'll use Kenya as an example. You can go in and register a business name, which allows you to trade not in your name, but in the name of the company. It allows you to get a bank account. It allows you to begin certain networks. But as you begin to grow, if you intend to trade, you intend to trade with even corporates, there are other things that must come into play. For example, you need to be able to pay value-added tax. There will be other tariffs you need to do, which are only doable most effectively of a limited liability company or limited by partnership or that kind of stuff. So formalization is critical. Unpack and do your mind. When you formalize, yes, the revenue authority will show up. You will be liable for taxes. But here's the thing. Those are the very things that give you the stability and credibility to trade internationally. I'll say that again. The access and connectivity to the revenue authority, to your bank, to insurance, are the very things that give you as a business owner credibility. So the mindset, like I said, you cannot remain in subsistence mindset if you're going to go export, all right? So formalize, register your business name, move it up to a limited liability company or company, an LLP, an LL, whatever it is you move it to, put it into a format that will help you be able to effectively and efficiently harness the tax regimes for your benefit. Remember, some countries give tax benefits for certain kinds of registrations. You get incentives for others. Do your homework, but please formalize. All right. Number 2, I think, is systemize. We did an episode in the Growth Edge series about systems. Systems are about control. They're about the capacity to repeatedly, consistently deliver results. So systems ensure that if Kyesubire is not in the office, but Joe is in the office, how you are received when you come in is consistent. It also ensures that it doesn't matter who's manning the production line. The quality of the lotion will be the same. The color will be the same. The bottle sizes will be the same. They'll be properly sealed. Or the outfit will be made right. There is a way we take measurements. There is a way we cut. There's a seam allowance we put in. Or if you're in the automotive industry, there is a way we service cars. There is a way we build our cars. There is a way we assemble our complete lockdown units. Systems are the keys to consistency and reliable products. So we cannot get away with, here we call it kalongolongo, just doing whatever, whenever, whichever. If we are going to grow to export places, we must begin to think systems. Systems also helps us as the business leaders remove the institutional knowledge from our minds and put it in a place where our teams can find it. Formalize, put in systems. Number 3 is learn. If you stop learning, you stop growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. If you stop learning, you stop growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. You may be physically alive for the next 25 years, but you have stopped growing. So you have actually begun to deteriorate. So when you want to take care of the AfCFTA, you must commit yourself to learning. Learn what? Learn about people, learn about countries, learn about who could be your potential market. What are their needs? How do they like things? How do they live? How do they function? But you must also understand, what is the AfCFTA? What are the things I need to be thinking about? We have things like the Guided Trade Initiative. Do you know about it? Do you know about the tariffs? Do you know about phytosanitary standards if you are doing it's a lot around plants and food and that kind of stuff. Do you know what standards are expected of certain products? Do you understand what a non-tariff barrier is? Do you know who you can go to and speak to? Freight, trade, insurance. You must be in a space of consistently learning so that when you come across places you have gaps, okay? You're able to say, I do not know this, but who knows it? And you research and you find who knows it. Some quick places for learning is reading. The other one is attending events. So you could do a networking mixer, you could go for an online webinar, you can go for a physical meeting. Excuse me. And when you're in those spaces and you find that there are things that you do not understand, raise your hand and ask a question. There is a saying in Kiswahili that says, kuuliza sio ujinga, which means asking is not foolishness. So put your pride aside, because that's the thing we all have as entrepreneurs. I've got my business, I'm the CEO, I want to position myself a certain way. Put that aside and commit to learning. If you're going to trade, there is a way your financials need to shift. There is a way you must talk to your bank. There are facilities that your bank has that you may not know about. So you must always be in that relationship with your relationship manager and asking, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you have? Consistently going to spaces and ask questions. Network, but don't network foolishly. Many of us go to meetings and we just dish out cards. If I'm not interested in what you're doing, I won't use your card. So what I've learned to do, and this is something I learned, when I learned that it takes 8 to 10 touches to make a sale, I began to step back and I go into spaces and I meet, oh, there is Grace. She works with this organization. I can see this potential for us to work together. But I will not go to Grace and just instantly tell her what I do. I will sit back and go and research her organization. What do they do? What's important to them? What are the causes they support? And that is my learning curve. So that when I do number 4, which is join a community, okay, I could go to a network mixer, and by the time I meet her, I have an understanding of her. So when we connect, we have a different conversation. Now, communities are things like associations. So is there a business association, a trade association around you? So like if you're a manufacturer, is there a manufacturers association? If you're in the private sector, do you have a private sector organization? I'll use Kenya as an example. Here, we have the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. We have the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. Why are communities important? That our government is more likely to listen to KAM and KEPSA because they are a collection of business people doing those things, okay? You may say to yourself, but those are very high level, which is okay. But if you're a farmer, let's say you grow avocados, is there an association of avocado growers? Or is there an association of farmers around you that would give you the information you need to set you up for success? Communities are important because When information is being disseminated, especially from government, they look for where people are together. Here we have the Kenya Juakali Association, which is really an association of artisans and smallholders, and they do big stuff. Why is that important? Because they are able to galvanize and take government to task or ask for things, and because of their numbers, they are listened to. It's quite simple, it seems, but it takes time and deliberate effort. So my call for every business owner who wants to get onto the AfCFTA scale, the mindset that you started your business with as a subsistence business is not the one that will make you an export business. The mindset of a subsistence business will not help you build an export business. It will lay a foundation for you, but when you start beginning to export or thinking of going the export way, your mindset must change. You need to have built muscle in your home country. You need to have a good production facility with systems and structures. You need to have good sources of everything you get. I'll use an example. Say you've been providing grains to institutions within your country and you want to export. You need to understand what they allow in, what the quality is, and then begin to build yourself to them. So I said in an earlier episode, I believe when I was talking about my journey into international trade, I realized that the mind with which I had looked at life, purely service sector, now broadening and seeing all the components of international trade, my mind had to shift. And in that shifting of my mind is when I began to pursue the Africa continent area and the continent. Because I believe it will be a game changer. I also said, see the fullness of the AfCFTA in my lifetime. I'm unlikely to. The people who will live in, enjoy, swim, exploit, expand, and completely utilize the AfCFTA is my children's children. I'll tell you what. Many of the larger customs unions have to go from free areas into customs unions. I have no illusions about it because there are evolutions that must happen. Now remember, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area has 55 countries, 54 have signed it, but each nation must design its tools of the trade, its instruments of trade. There are nations that are significantly behind. I was sitting in a meeting discussing the digital protocol. For Kenya, as we are very internet savvy. We are on the online spaces. I barely go to a shop. I shop online. And our facilitator was from Lesotho. And he was like, you guys are 20 years ahead of us in terms of digital infrastructure. Lesotho is a fraction of size in relation to Kenya. But in terms of digital infrastructure, they have bigger fish to fry than Go Digital. So the reason why it will take time to build, that's why my children's children will enjoy it, is because of things like that. That said, remember the Guided Trade Initiative has now, I believe it's 22 countries trading in it. So there are opportunities because what has happened with the AfCFTA, it is built on a regional economic bloc, okay? So we don't lose SADC, COMESA, EAC, ECOWAS. We don't lose any of those ones. It's built on top of them. But the AfCFTA has also determined, the Secretariat has determined that, like in EAC, not all our countries have deposited their instruments of trade. However, we are allowed to trade under the AfCFTA as the countries that have deposited their instruments of trade. So just because it will be like another 20 or 30 years before everything is in place, doesn't mean we don't prepare to trade now. So whatever your age is, whatever your business size is, if you want to begin to trade in after, these are the 4 things I believe you must do. You must formalize. And formalize is not just business registration. Okay? It's business registration, it's bank account, it's registration with your respective authorities, your customs authority, your revenue authority. Formalize and do that stuff. Declare your taxes, get your audit done, have your stuff together. And as you're formalizing, systemize. Create systems that work. Live in the space of consistently learning. I listened to a major businesswoman I follow, and she said she doesn't believe in stopping because everything she wants to do, somebody in her ecosystem knows somebody, so she doesn't stress. So in your learning curve, you need to learn who knows what and build those relationships, and then join a community, whether it's a business association, a community-based organization, a specialist association or organization for what you do. Just find a community that is going towards export trading and join it and be part of it. You will have access to more opportunities, you will have greater visibility, and above all, your dream of being an exporter will be closer than it was before you did any of those things. So my encouragement to each of us is that we push forward to shift the narrative and to be so much more than we already are. Pray that you will have an excellent time growing into your space as a business leader and that you will thrive. This is Kyesubire signing off from AfCFTA Files, powered by the African MSME Collective. I invite you to share your questions in the comment section. We will indeed answer them. If there are topics you want covered that you think would be important or useful, let us know what you want to learn. Like the video if it was useful to you, subscribe to the channel so you can see all our content, and hit the notifications button so that you never miss an episode. Thank you, and God bless you.